Your behaviors. It's all based on your behaviors, and your behaviors come from your childhood.
Right.
So,
Yes.
until you actually find that belief system, that what is driving this pattern, then you can break it. But until then, you can't. And, the willpower thing, I always get, well, my willpower is no good. Well, nobody's willpower is good, sister. I'm just going to tell you, we don't do willpower because it doesn't work. That's very short term. It's only like usually 2 to 3 weeks that we can do things with our conscious mind. But when you start with the subconscious mind, that's deep internal work that can actually last a lifetime and create those lifestyles that you want. Good.
Good morning. This is Tricia with Metamorphosis Moments, the interview series. And I am here this morning talking with my good friend, Karen Ackerman. She is a clinical hypnotherapist and a rapid transformational practitioner. And Karen comes to us from Ohio. And she's here to talk to us today about her practice, my practice, how we use the thing, and all the things we do. So good morning, Karen, and I'm super excited to talk to you this morning and have you here with me.
Good morning, Tricia. I am excited to be here with you. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome. So let's just dive right in. I've known Karen now for 8 months, 6 months? I don't know how long it's been. It's pushing a year, I guess.
Yes, pushing a year. Yeah.
Yeah, Karen and I met in a marketing class and have found that we have just tons of things in common, right down to, our previous careers, which is crazy. So anyway, Karen, tell me more about what types of clients you see.
Well, yes, thank you. I actually work with menopausal women that are struggling with all of a sudden this weight gain and the whole dieting cycle of why they cannot drop this newfound weight that all of a sudden has come on. So I truly enjoy, after going through the process myself, going through menopause, I enjoy helping women actually overcome this issue.
And it can be overcome because you helped me with it. And my goodness, I've lost, I think, 45 or 46 pounds.
Yay.
Yay.
I'm so proud of you too. That's all. Yeah. It's amazing. Honestly, it's amazing. I love what I do.
And it is amazing because I was struggling with that very thing, that, menopausal weight gain. And I think that a big part of, at least for me, was the mindset of the thing. And it's because we hear that, oh, it's not possible for menopausal women to lose weight and you'll always gain weight in your belly and this, that, and the other thing. And it just won't come off no matter what you do. And that kind of was my experience, because I tried and it really wasn't coming off, not easily. And it is harder now. It is 100%. It is harder. But I don't know if so much harder is it's different, right?
Right.
Because your body is different.
That's the thing. Like, I get all these women that come to me and they still want to work out the way they did in their 30s and even into their 40s. And it's like, we can't do that anymore. Our bodies have changed at a cellular level, chemical and cellular. So it's like, you cannot work out the same. You can't even think about your weight as you did when you were 30. Or for most of my clients, they've actually struggled with weight their entire life. Yeah. So that's an interesting spin when it comes to menopausal weight, because now we get into this middle age where we're like, we don't like the way we look. We don't like the way we feel, and we don't even want to go to the mirror and look in that mirror.
Right.
And it's different than, we've gained weight in places we've never gained weight before. And it's like, where did all that come from? Like, that was my experience. Like, it seemed like overnight I had gained 30 pounds and it was in places I had never even seen myself gain weight. That was really, really hard. to deal with.
Yeah. I know
So,
that was certainly my experience with it because, you know, and I've talked to you about this repeatedly because I would be kind of baffled why I would lose a chunk of weight, but was still wearing the same size pants. And it was like, how is this possible? It's because you gain it in different places and you lose it in different ways. It's like the whole pattern shifts, right?
yes, absolutely. The whole dynamic's different. And the biggest thing that I feel like we have to understand as menopausal women is we have to do things different now. And we have to view our bodies differently in a healthy way so that we can actually let go of the weight. And the
Right.
mindset piece is the most crucial piece, I feel like, at this
100%.
point. It's really crucial to understand, like, what is actually happening between the mind and the body.
Mhm.
What are they communicating?
Right.
What do they want from us, and how do we balance those hormones naturally so that we can drop this menopausal weight? And it's amazing too, because like you said, everybody wants to target, right? We want to target those
We don't get
spots.
to pick where you lose weight.
We don't get to pick where we're going to lose the weight. Our body dictates where we're going to lose the weight, but we do have a lot of power over influencing our body to do what we want it to do instead of fighting against it.
That's right. I remember, you know, when I first started tinkering with weight loss in the realm of rapid transformational therapy, and one of my earlier sessions was with Marissa Peer herself, and she said to me, "Darling, if we don't fix what's between your ears, you'll always regain the weight." And
So
I, at the time, I was kind of like, yeah, okay. But it's so true, you know, and I think that that's a part that most people don't even remotely understand, that it isn't about the diet. It isn't about how much you run on the treadmill or, you know, any of that. It's not at all about that. It's like it is with anything in RTT. Whatever you believe is the reality is the reality. So it's those words and pictures in your mind. And if you figure out what's driving this behavior, you know, and for me, I think, you know, a big part of it has been I only choose to do things that are good for my body, you know. So sure, do I eat cake once in a while? Yeah, I can, but I choose not to, you know. So
yeah,
as an adult, why do I want to eat garbage? I don't, you know.
right.
Do I pour myself a glass of gasoline? No.
Right. And I love
No.
that. I love that you brought this up, because this is something that I actually teach my clients, is the power of choice.
Right.
And we are never taught we actually have choices. We're actually taught like the same beliefs that we're raised with, right? We believe these, we create these patterns and these belief systems,
Yeah.
and we base everything that we do off of what we've been taught or what's worked in the past, but now that's no longer working. So we have to have the power of choice. And it is something all my clients are like, what? Wow, seriously? I can really choose? Yes, you can choose. You do have the power of choice. Once you understand what the root cause is between your ears, and then the whole world, the whole dynamic of weight loss changes. And
It
it's a
does.
beautiful journey from then on.
It does. I
Yeah.
mean, I still to this day don't have any desire to eat any of that stuff. And in fact, you know, when I do occasionally, and I mean occasionally, like every couple of weeks, maybe I'll eat something because I'm short on time, or the fastest, easiest thing is to just boil some spaghetti, right? But I don't eat wheat anymore. So when I do eat that, on the rare occasion I do, it upsets my stomach. My body no longer wants it or digests it easily, readily. And I don't know how much of that is really a physical shift, or is it the mindset, right? Because I've told myself now for months that this is garbage. I don't eat garbage. And, you know, it's not attractive to me anymore. And when I do eat it, it makes my stomach really like, bleh.
Yeah. Now, see, I will say I am definitely a meat eater. I love meat and I can't foresee myself ever giving it up. But that's the beauty of what I do, because it's not based on being vegan or paleo or carnivore or keto, any of those things that we've all tried, because those things don't work, it's very hard to create a lifestyle out of those eating patterns. And so
No, those are short term.
They're all short term. So we really got to change the complete dynamic of how we see our food, whether visually, and then how we express that in our choices. So we work with the mindset to actually change the pictures of the food that are not serving you,
Right.
so that you can actually have more power over your choices. And it is powerful.
It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful.
It is. It is
I mean,
beautiful.
I think I've told you this, but when I've walked into a grocery store and they're in there, you know, baking cookies or cakes or whatever in the bakery, and it's always right there near the produce section when you first walk in, and I've smelled that smell and it physically makes me sick. Like I can't stand the odor of it anymore. It's not even remotely appealing to me. The idea of eating it is just, ugh, no, thank you. And that's, you know, that's the mindset shift from the hypnotic trance work that we do, right?
Exactly. And you know, it's awesome you said that too, because that my downfall, I used to have two things I absolutely was addicted to: the Charleston chews and brownies. I mean, I would start a diet. I don't know. I'd love to see the hands hit the like button, hit the love button on this, because every client I've worked with, same exact thing. You know, we get to that aisle and we've already decided we're going to go on a diet, but how many of us have actually been able to avoid the aisle, or even more powerful, you can walk right down the aisle and never be fazed by it? That's how I am now. I was not like that. I had no control whatsoever of the food I was putting in my mouth. The food controlled me.
That's exactly
right. And it wasn't until the mindset shift about all of that, then the ball started rolling in my favor, right? And I've got to the point where I could go down any aisle. It doesn't bother me at all. I can avoid anything.
I can sit there and watch somebody eat chocolate cake. Doesn't bother me.
No, right. It doesn't bother you. It's like, oh, I can have that if I want to. And I was talking to a client yesterday and I said, you know, it is really amazing because I work with a lot of sugar addiction clients. And I said, it's so amazing to me that used to be me, but now I can eat a piece of cake or a brownie or whatever I want, and I never crave more. In fact, normally I can never finish a full piece because it tastes so sweet to me.
So sweet when you're not used to
sweet,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just did exactly this, week before last, coming up on Easter candy all over the grocery store. And for me, for you, it was brownies. For me, it was Reese's anything, Reese's peanut butter cups, chocolate peanut butter, anything, chocolate peanut butter ice cream, any of that. I mean, oh my God, I couldn't stop myself. I walked down the Easter candy aisle, not on purpose. I just was, you know, oh, I got to get over there. So I cut down this aisle and I went, oh my God, I'm surrounded by all the Reese's and the eggs and I stopped and I looked at it and I just kind of went, huh, this doesn't even appeal to me. And I just walked through.
Yeah. It is amazing.
Do I want it? No, I do not want it.
No, because you've had the mindset shift.
Yeah.
That's the key to your weight loss. That's the key to balancing your hormones. That's the key to having the power to actually say no to those foods that have been detrimental this entire time, where you actually are so empowered, you could care less. That's true freedom. That's true food freedom. When you can go down any aisle, you don't have a care in the world about that food, and you get to choose what you're going to make, what you're feeding yourself, and the value of you again. If you've ever had the true value of you, which most of my clients never have. They've never had that power and then lose it. Because once you have the power, you never lose it.
No.
It's amazing, but you never lose that power. So it's just the mindset shift. That's the biggest part. And that's what you and I do. That's why we love these conversations, because it doesn't matter what we do in our life. We really have to have a mindset shift in order to decide to start working out and stick to it, or decide to change careers and stick to it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to have mindset shifts that are going to guide you on the path you actually want to go on, so you have the power to stick to it. Because you know, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just saying how a lot of my clients, they've been abused emotionally, physically, otherwise. And a lot of them also self-sabotage with food. It certainly was my situation, and big food and trauma and the abuse and the narcissistic abuse that I was receiving. It all was entangled together. So I have a lot of clients that have gone through abusive relationships, and they continue the abuse and sabotage or self-protection mechanism of eating.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
in there for a lot of reasons. And that's the beauty of any change we do. Once you understand really why do I do this? What drives me to do this? Whether it be smoking or drinking or gambling or eating sugar or
Yeah.
constantly
Exactly.
allowing people to disrespect you and your boundaries, whatever the thing is, it's all just driven by that subconscious thoughts. And once you shift that and you understand why it's there and what's its purpose,
Mhm.
it becomes child's play to get rid of it, really.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why RTT is so powerful.
It
It's so
is.
different than any other therapy because instead of sitting around, and I'm not criticizing any other therapy because there's a lot of good therapists out there and there's a lot of goodness that comes from therapy, but RTT is cutting edge. That's all there is to it. It's so different because we get right to the root cause of what is driving the behavior.
Right.
Once you find out what's driving that behavior, then and only then can you really change the
Mhm.
behavior. But you don't have to sit around for weeks, months, years trying to figure
Yeah.
out why do I keep doing this. You literally within 2 hours or less know why you're doing it, and then we change it right then.
Right.
That's
I
the
mean,
power. That's
do you
powerful.
find a lot of your clients have childhood trauma, or what drives a lot of them
Oh
into this?
gosh. Well,
Or
I
does it
can,
just run the gamut of anything? I mean,
honestly, it has truly been a big gamut of lots of things. And for me, my mom struggled with her weight. She was always overweight and seems like she was always on a diet, but she never really made a big deal out of the diets. I just knew when she was on a diet because she wasn't eating as much. And I can remember she started having gallbladder issues. And the doctor told her, well, you need to drop a lot of weight because you're a high risk. This is back many years ago. And so she went on a 900-calorie diet
oh,
for a year and her hair
oh,
started falling out.
oh
It was
no.
it was horrible. But then too, they didn't know what they know now.
Of course,
She
when
didn't
we
know how
were kids, women took amphetamines and speed just to
to.
get their housework done and lose weight. That was,
Yeah.
hey, let's take some speed so we can drop some weight while we're
My
home
mom,
doing the earning, you know?
yeah, my mom never did any of that stuff. She really tried, like legitimately tried diets, and she would try her best to stick to diets. And then, anybody that's trying diets, which we didn't know then, now that they just don't work really in long term,
Mhm.
they're not working. They're not ever going to work unless you can create a lifestyle, which most of my clients can never create a lifestyle around it.
It's
They
all
just,
of, yeah, because you just go back to the old way as soon as you
oh,
stop, and then you
yes,
gain back every bit
yes.
of it and then some.
Your behaviors. It's all based on your behaviors, and your behaviors come from your childhood.
Right.
So, until
Yes.
you actually find that belief system, that what is driving this pattern, then you can break it. But until then, you can't. And
Mhm.
the willpower thing, I always get, well, my willpower is no good. Well, nobody's willpower is good, sister. I'm just going to tell you, we don't do willpower because it doesn't work. That's very short term. It's only like usually 2 to 3 weeks that we can do things with our conscious mind. But
Yeah.
when you start with the subconscious mind, that's deep internal work that can actually last a lifetime and create those lifestyles
Yeah.
that you want. So, I've had clients that have lost parents during COVID. That was a big one, which I could totally relate because I lost both of my parents and my brother back to back in 2011 and 2012. And so I've worked with a huge variety, a lot of, there's been sexual trauma, there has been spousal abuse, there's just been a lot of stuff, a lot
Yeah.
of childhood things that come up, and they may not necessarily even be bad. I mean, I've worked with clients that have taken something that their mother or father has said while sitting at a table, and in a childhood thought created this feeling, this belief that truly, when they go back as adults, realize that's not even at all. That doesn't even make sense. Like, that's not what they meant.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what like happened to me with my weight journey was my brothers had spoken something to me over and over and over, and I believed it. Well, I completely forgot about it in adulthood, and I struggled, was always on a diet. Even at 116 pounds, I can remember not feeling satisfied with my body and like being at battle with myself. For years, I did that. And it wasn't until I actually found that root cause going through an RTT session. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. All these years I've wasted dieting and being in a struggle. And it was because of something my brother said, which they were kids. And I took it literally. And from that moment on, I stopped dieting. I dropped my 30 pounds and I've never looked back. I have been in better shape mentally and physically than I've ever been in my life. And the beauty is on the other side. I'm telling you, menopause is not so easy, but post-menopause and even during the menopause situation that you're going through can drastically change, and you can have a beautiful life, whether you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, there's hope for freedom with your food.
There really is.
And your weight.
I love that you you call it that menopause situation.
Let's not give it too much power, Tricia.
I think it's funny because an awful lot of women, we all know what's coming about your period. You get told about that when you're little or you're a young girl and your mother tells you about it, or maybe you have sisters who are older or whatever. So you're aware of it, and some girls they look forward to it. Yeah, I get to be a woman, or they dread it, or whatever their attitude is. It usually comes from their mom or their sisters or friends. But nobody tells you what to expect in menopause. It's like this whole mysterious, well, you're going to get night sweats or hot flashes. And then, of course, the menses stops, right? But beyond that, you don't really know too much.
Right.
And I think it's a conversation that needs to be had more openly and widely amongst women, because nobody really fully understands it. I mean, I had no idea that toward the end, the periods become super erratic, super weird, super just like all over the place. It's like you're going through your second puberty or something. Yes. And who knew? Like, I just wanted, this has got to stop.
Well, I think the biggest thing too, like with my clients that I work with, and I think women in general, no, we're really not taught, because they really have not until recently really started targeting and thinking about women's health more. And so we were never really taught, okay, this is what to expect, unless it was negative. If you really think about menopause and things we've heard, of course, we already have a belief. Again, menopause is terrible. We're going to have night sweats, hot flashes, all these mood swings. We're going to be bitchy. We're going to, all these things are happening that we hate. Now, I'm not going to say that's not all true, because we all experience menopause differently. But
there's a lot of good to it too.
I will say this. If you actually have control over the food you're putting in your mouth, it will make a massive difference in hot flashes, your mood swings, how you feel about menopause, how you react to menopause, how you sleep at night. It's amazing, but food can either be a healer or a destroyer. And once you understand what's driving that pattern, how should you be eating, and help yourself balance those hormones naturally, it's a struggle. But once you do understand it, it's like a whole new world opens, and you realize, wow, this really does not have to be as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Which is beautiful. There's real hope on that side of it, because we're not taught those things. We're just always taught the bad, the bad, the bad. But it was my experience to gain all the weight. The minute I knew what was driving my eating patterns, and I changed that belief system, and I controlled what I was putting in my mouth and what I wanted, my entire world changed. The weight just came off easily without dieting, and my hormones balanced. The night sweats went away. I had a clear mind again. And that's one thing my clients always tell me. My anxiety level has dropped tremendously. Like that's the first thing they notice is how much better they feel and how much
Right.
better their coping skills are. And we have to do
Yeah.
that because if our body's in a stress mode, it cannot drop weight.
You
So
know,
it is
before I lost the weight, you know, you would get up from your chair after you've been sitting for a little while, and then you have to sort of hobble across the room for 10 steps before you can walk normally. I don't do that anymore.
I know.
Like that's gone. I don't have, like, my feet don't hurt, my knees don't hurt, my hips don't hurt.
Yeah.
None of my shit hurts anymore.
I know. Yay. Huge win. Huge win.
Yeah.
Right.
I also
Yeah.
find, you know, because I've worked with some weight loss clients myself, and I find that the average American, and this is so true of Americans in particular, we eat so much garbage, so much processed stuff. And people have this predisposed idea of eating healthy is more expensive. It takes more time in the kitchen. It's more complicated food prep, all that. And I want to call BS on all of that. You know, I've been living this since, well, for like 8 months now. You know, my grocery bill's gone down. I waste less food. I spend less time cooking. My cooking is simpler.
Yes.
You know, I live by myself, so I'm really only cooking like 2 or 3 nights a week. But that's not to say I'm eating out the other nights. I cook, you know, enough food that I have 3 servings, and then, you know, I mix it up. I throw things in the freezer. I get something out of the freezer. So I always have something different that I'm eating. But the things I prepare are so simple. It's just real ingredients. It's vegetable, salad, it's meat, it's, you know, maybe it's a handful of nuts, maybe some cottage cheese, it's a boiled egg. It's, you know, it's just simple, real food. There's no like prepackaged garbage, you know, and that all that packaged stuff is so expensive, and it's full of sugars and chemicals and garbage.
Yeah. Yes. And that's something I do teach my clients as well is, you know, they get a list of here's all the sugars names. There's like 60, I think 69 names for sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, and the average person is never going to know those things, and they hide it. They break up the names. They put it in different spots. It's still sugar. So you're right about one thing. When you
all those low fat foods, they replace the fat with sugar because it doesn't have any flavor if you take the fat out.
Exactly. Yes, I'm knocking low fat food because I don't eat low fat food, and I don't recommend it to my clients as well because you're right, it's just full of sugar. So real food, when you can actually eat real food, your grocery bill will go down.
Yeah.
And plenty of stuff you can even raise in your own garden and live off if you choose to. And I do a lot of gardening, as you do, Tricia. And so it's amazing when you're growing all these vegetables, and then you have vegetables all winter.
So real food, you want to start there?
Yes, real food. So if you're eating real food, you know that your grocery bill is going to go down because you're not buying all the packaged junk that's full of junk. It's not real food. And so if you just think about how much you would cut out of a grocery bill by eating real food, and you're not buying a bunch of packaged food, that's huge savings. Huge. My husband just finally got on board about, Mike's been on a healthier eating trend for about 6 weeks now, and all we have been eating is real food. He's dropped 17 pounds, completely kicked his sugar. He's like, I just feel so much better. I have so much more energy. And I'm like, yeah, you actually look really nice too. There's a perk.
There you go.
You better.
Your skin looks brighter. Everything is just, you have more energy.
Yeah, you do have a lot more energy. I was saying, Tricia, we both raise our gardens. We both love gardening, and we're professional in the gardening aspect. Me as a flower farmer, you as a professional landscaper, correct?
I was a garden designer.
Garden designer. So, I mean, we're all about gardening and eating real food, and it's nice to be able to raise your own food and know what's in it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've been growing vegetables in my laundry room all winter, and it's just been a hoot. It's been a hoot. You know, I love, like, I'll just tootle on into the garden, aka my laundry room, and cut myself some spinach, throw in my smoothie for breakfast, or
how awesome.
There's tomatoes, there's eggplants, peppers, cucumbers, herbs, all kinds of lettuce and spinach. Yeah,
Yeah, look
it's
at
amazing.
the variety you're getting right in your own home that literally has cost you pennies per seed, like pennies.
Yeah.
You imagine the amount of money when you really stop and think about that. That's massive. But
Mhm.
you've got to use your mindset in order to transition that where you enjoy those foods again once you and get the sugar and the packaged food out of your life.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I always did enjoy that, but it's all of the other junk that I was eating. Like, oh my God, I was like, so I was a sugar junkie big time. So it was
oh yeah,
all about, the bread and the pasta and potatoes, anything starchy. That's
yes.
what I was after. And I don't
Mhm.
eat anything. Like, so I had a lunch with a friend on Saturday, and she was trying to figure out where she wanted to go. And she said, I don't even know what you eat. I don't think you eat anything. And I said, there's 5 things I don't eat. I don't eat wheat. I don't eat corn. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat rice, and I don't eat soy.
Yay.
And outside of that,
Yep.
yeah. So when
Yeah.
you take out those 5 things, that incorporates pretty much all the processed garbage.
Yes, it does. It's exactly what one of the things I teach my clients too.
What's
Like with
left? Real food.
5 foods or 6 foods, we got 6 that I don't really want you to even eat because they're just not healthy for you. And this is things that they actually fatten animals with. If
Mhm.
you're thinking corn and soy, what do you think they're filling these animals up with to get
Making
them to?
fat. Yeah.
I It's just
Yeah.
not healthy for us
Yeah.
humans.
It's not.
Yeah.
Of course, my friend is trying to gain weight, and she's telling me that she eats a lot of meat. And I was like, oh, well, then you should eat less meat and more starch.
Yeah, yeah, that'll help you.
The meat doesn't actually trigger weight gain. It doesn't store, like you convert that to muscle or you burn it
Right,
for, calorie burn.
right,
And it's all the other junk that's what packs on the weight.
right. Yeah. And we
Mhm.
just have to have that balance. It's not like you can't have a variety of food. I mean, I
Mhm.
eat a whole variety of food. And some days or some weeks I might eat more of certain things that I maybe I'm craving. It was so funny because a couple weeks ago I was doing a video in my group and I said, now, who would have ever guessed I'm not a broccoli person at all? But I was coming home and I thought, man, I just want some broccoli. And I'm like, what? You want broccoli, really? And I was like, yes, I'm wanting broccoli. So
I
when
love
you become,
broccoli. Love it, love it, love it.
yeah, when you become intuitive though with what your body needs, which is something I teach, you will actually, your body actually tells you things. It tells you the
Yeah.
vitamins and minerals it's lacking. And it's amazing because it will have you crave those foods that are healthy for you because it needs those vitamins or those minerals. So
Yeah.
it's so much more than a weight loss. It is a complete transformation of mind and body.
Hmm.
That's what
But
it
do
is.
people then tell you, but my body told me I want cookies? I mean,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I think, and I've experienced that, when I was first starting to shift. And, I would find it's that habitual behavior. You're bored usually. And then you
yeah,
wander into the kitchen and you open the fridge and you stand there and you just look like what looks good. And then next thing you know, you're having something terrible. And maybe it's the ice cream in the freezer or, whatever. And so then I was able to start saying to myself, okay, let's examine this drive to eat whatever this thing is, right? And usually what I decided was it's just my brain nattering on about some nonsense, like it's trying to get dopamine, basically, and that's really what
right.
this is about. So, what can I do to boost my dopamine in this moment? And then I would remind my brain that my brain is not in charge of what I eat anymore. It's my body. And my
Yeah,
body says it's not hungry. So
right.
why is the brain dragging me to the refrigerator, forcing me to look for something to eat that I'm not hungry for, even though it's
Absolutely.
telling me I
Or
am? So, when
yeah,
you start to understand those dynamics and you disconnect the brain from decision making in eating, and
yeah,
it's just listening to your body and learning to really say, am I actually hungry?
right,
Or am I bored? Am I needing stimulation? What's going on
right.
here?
and actually changing the chemical makeup in the brain associated to food, which is a process. I mean, you get your instant with, I want to say instant because really in reality, it's pretty dang instant when you know the pattern, why you've had this pattern, what's driving the pattern, and you can release that. It's an instant change. And then it's like this beautiful journey that you get to really explore and get to know yourself better of, okay, am I really hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I like dehydrated? Am I bored? What is going on really? Because if I ate 2 hours ago, there's no way I'm hungry. So what else is going on? And you can literally, by creating that lifestyle that I teach you to create, you know, eventually it's going to be second nature. You're already going to know, oh, I'm bored. So I'm thinking about food. So let's go do something fun. Let's go take a walk. Let's go look at the flowers. Let's get outside for 10, 15 minutes, which I tell my clients, go take a quick walk and drink a glass of water. And then wait another 15 minutes and see if you're still hungry. If you're still hungry, eat something.
Yeah.
But you really need to get in tune with you in order to make the lifestyle changes. It's going to last you a lifetime where you don't have to keep battling and struggling with your weight or your thought processes and all that.
Because then there's all of that negative stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So now you've eaten the thing and you know you shouldn't have, and then you beat yourself up, and then you feel bad, and then you feel bad, and you get depressed, and then you eat more. And it's this cycle,
It's a
right?
cycle. It's a cycle. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. And you know, there's pretty much my whole life, you know, I would eat and then I would feel guilty. So much guilt. Why did I eat ice cream? Why did I eat the candy bar? I'm trying to lose weight, trying to follow this diet plan. And now I've just blown it. So I'll just start again tomorrow. I have so many clients that go, I've just started again tomorrow. Pretty much every diet I've ever done. And I'm like, yes, because this is a pattern. It's just a pattern that needs to be broken. And you can't break it to understand it. So let's dive deep. Let's figure it out, and then let's break the pattern and create new. So it's creating new patterns that are going to last a lifetime. It's an ongoing, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you can apply those principles to any area that an RTT therapist may work. You know, certainly that's what I do with my clients. You know, why they keep finding themselves in abusive relationships over and over and over again. And it's, you know, in this depression, anxiety, any number of things, whatever you work in. And I think it's just this endless fascination I have with rapid transformational therapy, because it literally can be used in such different ways by every individual practitioner to the benefit of their clients. And it's just such a fascinating process, because it isn't so much about the therapy itself. It's about how you interact with your own brain and how that information is applied, and then just understanding yourself on a deeper level so that you operate in a completely different way, and how it's so permanent, you know?
Yeah. And you actually, you operate at a higher level. It's like a higher level of yourself. So it's not the same old and just a new way of, you know, thinking. It's a new way of applying and thinking and behaving. And it's like this complete massive shift in the way you behave.
Yeah.
Completely behave, and how your mind sends the signals to your body, and your body vice versa sending all these signals, that it's actually like, instead of battling each other, they're actually in one, working together to create this harmony that is just such a beautiful, relaxing, you know, you don't have to battle anymore mentality. Like, that's in the past and we're not going back there ever again. So I tell my clients all the time, there's no starting over with mine. There's no starting over. There's no falling off the wagon. There's no such thing. You just
know. I was just talking to a client the other day, and I said, you think about your healing journey as a stream, and you know, first you're not even in the stream, right? You're running around in the woods next to the stream, and you can't find the edge of the water because there's too many weeds. And then we begin this work and we hack those weeds down, and now you can see the stream. And then you start doing a little work, and you start to get brave enough to jump into the stream. And eventually you just start flowing with the water down the stream, and you're just going, going, going. But then maybe you see something on the other side and you hop out and you take a little side adventure over here and you go check that out. Does that mean your journey is over? No, it just means you took a little side trip and then you come back. Maybe you went upstream a little ways. It's okay. And then you just jump back in and you just start flowing again. And that's really, truly the way it works.
It
There's
is.
no like beginning or end. I mean, I guess there's a beginning, but there's really no end to it. It's about the journey, the traveling, the learning, and even those mistakes that you make, you still learn from it.
Sure you do. Yeah, absolutely. And
I think even
it's
more learning from the biggest F ups you could possibly do. That's where you do your best learning anyways.
like, yes. Yeah. And it's amazing. It honestly is an amazing adventure if you let it be.
Mhm.
If you actually are open to real change instead of doing the same old, you will love your life. Love your life. Every client I've ever had absolutely walks away with, oh my gosh, I feel so different.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a brand new person that can take on new adventures and new challenges, and I can actually overcome those without all the fear and the doubt and inconsistencies, and just be who I want to be. And I think that was the same for me, Tricia, probably the same for you, that we got into this work because we knew something deep down wasn't right. Like with us, no matter what we tried, it wasn't working. And so every person has their own story, but when you actually, like when we went through RTT and we had those sessions and we found that root cause and we were able to extract it, literally extract it and get rid of it, so we could start putting the things that actually were working for our benefit, it's a game changer.
So
Like,
that's, I think that's a question I've never asked you in all the time I've known you. So what drew you to become an RTT therapist to begin with?
oh, that's a great question.
What was
So
the start for you?
I had I lost my parents, and so I had gone through a really deep depression for a good 3 years because I lost my dad, and then 3 months later to the day my mom, 3 months later in 4 days on my brother's 46th birthday, I lost him. So there was 3 solid years in 2011-12 that I just was completely at deep, dark depression. I was a flower farmer and really started working long hours, just trying to bury the pain.
You just throw
And
yourself into it so you don't feel anything because you don't have time.
because I couldn't cope. When you have that much trauma, it's very hard to cope with. Even if you have phenomenal coping skills, it's really tough to cope with. And so I didn't have the coping skills. I'd lost my entire family in 3 months and in 6 months. So yeah, that was very difficult for me. But so I threw myself into work and I started working all this basically overtime. I was working 17, 18 hours a day. Like as soon as Mike would get up and leave for work at 5:30, I was at the farm. I wouldn't come home till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And finally he was like, what are you doing? Like, you're killing yourself. And we never see you. I have 2 kids. We never see you. Like, this is ridiculous. You need to get some help. Well, I finally was like, I'm a Christian, and I started really putting my faith in God. And I started on this journey of self-awareness and improvement. And it led me to Marissa, believe it or not. And I started watching her and listening to her, and the things she was saying, I started applying. And by applying those things in my life, I noticed a massive shift in the thinking, the way I was feeling. And I thought, my gosh, if this little bit I get from listening to her, what would it be like to actually work with her? Like, to be trained by the best in the world? What would that do for me as a person? And so I really
you were not thrilled or fulfilled in your job as a flower farmer.
right.
You recognize that it's destroying your relationships and working yourself to death physically and otherwise.
Right.
So you're kind of, in a place where you need to make a shift, right?
Yeah.
That how that went?
I knew I had to do something different. And when I watched her, I was so impressed by how much love, honestly, like and how much stuff she shared, like the knowledge she shared. And I started applying that. And I thought, my goodness, what would I be like as a person? Because I started wanting more. I wanted to get out of this body that I had ballooned 30 pounds too. And so listening to her, I was like, I've got to do this. But here's the thing, just like all of us, I sat on the fence for a year, prayed about it for a year. And literally one morning I was pretty much fit to be tied. I was frustrated because I didn't have enough faith in myself to step out in faith, to actually take the step and see if I would be accepted into that program. And as I was, giving the Lord some grief, I will say, down the steps that morning, I heard his audible voice say to me, the door has been open. You just have to walk through it. And I was like, okay, okay, I'm going to walk through it right now. And so I went and I signed up and asked if I could be interviewed, and I was accepted. And the rest is history. I mean, it's completely changed my life. I wouldn't go back for nothing. Because I feel like I've always been a positive person, but I feel like such a more complete person.
Yeah.
I've grown so much. And that's the same thing you and I do for our clients. We help them grow in so many aspects that otherwise they will never, ever experience. And I feel like so many are missing out on what could truly be, and their dreams could come true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really true. Thank you for sharing that. It's really beautiful. Yeah. I know how hard it is to lose family. And I too went through that deep, deep depression after my mom was gone. And it's like an incredibly painful place to be. I only wish I knew about RTT then. Of course, if I knew about it then, my marriage might have come to an end a whole lot sooner too.
True. True. But we learn, and that's all we can do is just, I always think, and this is how I actually hire coaches, because I still hire coaches to help me. I still invest in me, because I truly believe like investing in yourself is the greatest investment you will ever make. Nobody can take that from you. You will learn so much, right? And grow so much as a person that you have to invest in you. You have to know there's something more for you, and you're tired of struggling.
Right.
That investment, best investment ever.
It is a tremendous investment. I think, I learned from a trainer that I was working with recently who really said to me, there is no amount of money that you invest in yourself to better yourself, whether it be seeing a therapist, working on your health, working on your business, learning a skill, reading a book, whatever this time, money, and effort you put into yourself, every bit of it is worth it, and then some, because it comes back to you tenfold or more.
Sure. Yes.
There's, like, you are worth it. And if you are able to increase your own vibration and increase the way that you are able to operate in a productive way in your own life, directing your life, and in all ways, the abundance that you will draw into your life, whether it be love, money, career, whatever, it's just going to flow in easily, effortlessly. It just does, because you've put that mindset out there to be positive, to think, to learn, to constantly grow and change and evolve. It's such a beautiful thing. And it's not I don't look at it as spending money so much as investing money.
Right. And that's a mindset shift too, right?
Yeah.
So you get, we both deal with clients all the time. And that's one thing, they're like, they worry. Of course, I was the same way until I actually started this journey. And once I actually took that first step, the same thing all my clients tell me. The first step is the hardest step.
Scariest, yes. No matter what the thing is.
Yeah. Like this beautiful journey, and just unfolds in front of you, and you learn so much about yourself that you would never know. And it's such a healing thing. It's just such a beautiful, truly beautiful.
What I've learned through all of this journey, through my own healing and through my learning with Marissa and trauma and all this, training I've had, and even I learn every day from my clients. It's just that I am a lifelong learner, and that's a really important value for myself. And
Same.
that's one of the first things that, with my current coach who I'm working with, she said to me, well, what are the things that are important to you? And not just, in the short term, but in the big picture, and so that was probably the thing that emerged the highest on my list, was to be a lifelong learner, because I don't want to stand still. I want to always continue to grow and change and evolve and learn. And yeah, it's really important to me.
Yeah. Standing still is boring.
It is boring.
Let's,
to give you a famous quote from my son. He always made the funniest quotes, and probably he said this when he was probably like 10. And it's always been a quote in my family where we laugh about it. And I actually have it printed out, and it's framed on my wall in my house, and it says, "Why be normal? Normal is boring." And this kid, has always worn wacky outfits and everything. But I think it applies to a lot of things. Why just stand still? Standing still is boring too.
It is.
Oh.
And we deserve better, right? We deserve to actually, I think the saddest thing to literally go to your grave and not know what's the hottest body you could be in. How would it feel to be the most confident you've ever been? What would it be like to actually have no joint pain and to actually reverse aging? What would it be like to be the best version of you before you leave this earth? And essentially, the majority of people will not know. It's going to be the people that actually take that step and find out.
Yeah.
And they will.
It's true. I'll tell you that since I've embarked on all of my journey, I have friends that I haven't seen in, a very long time, and they'll see me and say, "I swear to you, you look 10 years younger than you did the last time I saw you."
Yeah. It's amazing when you eat healthy and you think healthy.
Yeah. I think it's as much about the healthy thinking as the healthy eating. But you combine those, and it's my superpower. That's where I'm at.
It is a power.
Yeah. Well, it's been a fabulous conversation today, Karen. And as always, you and I could talk about this forever and ever and ever. So I really enjoyed our chat today, and I know you've got things to do, people to see, as do I. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, and thank you very much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. It was wonderful chatting.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.